It's 7 p.m. on Monday, December 9th. Let me call the Boothbay Harbor Selectmen meeting to order. We'll introduce our somewhat depleted board. We have Kelly Bigos, our recording secretary, Tom Wooden, town manager, and Selectmen J.D. Warren and Russ Hoffman, and myself, I'm Bill Hamblin. Denise Griffin is away this weekend, and as you may have read in the Register, Bob Spillane has resigned, and I don't expect he will be attending additional meetings. First order of business is to approve the minutes of our November 25th, 2013 meeting. I would entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Minutes are approved. And that brings us to financials, and I'll turn the floor over to Julia Latter, our finance officer.
Before you have your revenue and expense sheets. Revenue year-to-date, $4,144,715. Total expenses year-to-date, $3,678,198. Does anyone have any questions about the revenue and expenses? We are on target for expenses and a little ahead in revenue collection. Our 55% of our taxes have been collected year-to-date.
Do we know why we're a little bit ahead? That's starting to be more than just an accident, it looks like.
I'm seeing that on the tax collection side, we're ahead. This time last year, we were about 47%, so
Okay.
a little under 50%. Plus, we right now we just sent out automatic foreclosure notices, so we're getting all of that in our money-wise and stuff. I think it's just a matter of timing right now.
Okay.
Nothing's jumping out at me when I look at the revenue expense sheets.
Okay.
Tonight's accounts payable is $242,602. And the bank balance is $2,553,922.
Any other questions for Julia?
No, looks real good.
Looks good, Julia. Thank you so much. That brings us to town manager announcements. Turn the floor over to Tom.
Okay.
And he tells me I've usurped his announcements by the
I
agenda.
will waive my announcements. It's all right with you, since my announcements have become the ongoing and new business, and I'll chime in when we get to that.
Right. We have no public license hearings tonight, so we're into ongoing business. So I'll turn the floor back over to Tom.
Great.
I just thought it'd be worthwhile to let the public know where we stand with the fish pier, and I think things are going great as far as I know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the site work is pretty much done. The knee walls are up, the 4-foot-high concrete walls. The wood construction part of the walls is being done in panels off-site and should start to go up hopefully this week. I didn't go over there today. I don't think they were working down there today, were they?
They were there.
Were they
This
there?
morning getting measurements.
Oh,
And
just
planning
measuring.
to start this afternoon.
Okay, yeah. So that's pretty good, because they're building it off-site and they'll be bringing it in piecemeal.
That should help with congestion and confusion at the
Yeah.
pier as well.
Yeah. We're also starting this week, and this may go bi-weekly after a while, but we're starting weekly construction meetings with Public Works and Chuck and the contractor and myself and so forth, just to see what's the expectation this week, what do we have done, what are we falling behind in, so on and so forth. So I'll be able to give you more detailed updates at Selectmen's meetings from sitting in those.
Good.
So that's really what's going on. I'm pleased with its
I think the
condition
other
so far.
important news is while we're thin, we are under budget.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I think that's real
I'm
good news.
cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know at that first meeting, Chuck, you had some ideas that actually were going to save us some money, and we appreciate that as well.
Right.
So we get a building that's cost-effective and useful.
We're on the same side on that.
Yeah, it's in your best interest as well.
There we go.
Is there so what we see over there now is the completed cooler building, is that correct?
Just the cooler.
The cooler goes actually inside the building. The building's built out around it.
Right.
Yeah.
I was over there on Saturday, and Saturday evening, and that door was open. Is that always open? Is that secure? I guess I'm wondering about,
We don't have any refrigeration in there right now. Keeping cool air flowing is a good thing right now, getting it down to temperature. So
okay.
it's, they're on the north end, that's a double wall too, I don't know.
Yeah, I went inside. I was surprised that the door was wide open and there was a work light on, and there were barrels of bait on pallets inside, and nobody was around.
Chuck,
So-
Chuck, are the compressors disconnected right now?
Compressors are just.
So that's how you're keeping the building cold at the
Fresh
moment,
air,
is
yes.
just to open the doors?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But I guess from a safety perspective, I was concerned that everything was wide open and anybody could wander in.
Point notice,
So-
I'm not sure why the lights were on.
What time was that?
Harbor Lights time, 4:30.
Okay, yeah, we don't close till 5, so.
Okay.
I was there somewhere.
So somebody was
Still
around,
there,
is what
Kilo
you're
and I
telling
was
me.
still there,
Okay.
so, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Okay, anything else on Fish Pier?
I don't think so.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
If the budget is coming in at the correct amount or slightly under, does that mean there'll be consideration to possibly finishing that gable end with the vinyl cedar shakes? From an
Yeah,
aesthetic
although
standpoint?
we've had, and Chuck chime in because you know more than I probably, we've had a recommendation from the builder that those don't work so well on the gable ends, because when you cut the angles, it cuts off the tabs that hold them in, and they tend to fall out. They work great on the straight sections, he said, but he's had problems with them on the gable ends because of the need to cut them at an angle.
That's bad news because I have them at my house.
Uh-oh.
Good because
I mean,
have.
isn't that what he said?
No, I think that's totally accurate. I mean, there
Yep.
may be ways to jury rig or
Yeah.
something, so they will stay, but I don't think it's something that the manufacturer would recommend. But I think to answer your bigger question is there may be room within the budget to dress up the gable ends
Yeah.
somehow. I don't think we've come up with a solution to that yet.
But in terms of philosophy, I think absolutely yes. I think one of the things we talked about was windows, and there's a window that may be superfluous, but I argued that I want the window there because the exterior of the building needs to look like has windows and it's not just a huge expanse of clapboard.
That's great. While our code doesn't require aesthetics to
Right.
be attended to, I think it's great that you guys
Yeah.
are taking that initiative.
Yeah,
I'm
and
grateful.
I haven't talked with Jody in the last few weeks, but when we were doing the initial design, we talked a lot about the front of the building and the concept of putting a little raised bed of dirt in there so we could have some evergreen bushes in front of it, not out by the road, but right against the building. And then that way, they won't get in the way of the plowing and all of that, but they'll still soften that big expanse of the building. And
Right.
Jody was okay with that.
And still leaving enough room for the trucks to be
Yeah,
able
no,
to
it
do the background.
it won't
Sure.
impact that at all. It'll just 3 or 4 feet. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Back to you, Tom.
The next item in ongoing business is just an update on the budget process. Today I met with a couple of department heads and reviewing their proposed budgets for next year and inputted that information. The other department heads I'll be meeting with this week, and if I don't have that completely done this week, I will by early next week. At that point, I'll send out all the budget sheets to the budget committee and the selectmen. Today I sent around a schedule of hopefully what departments we'll be talking about on what dates, but that tends to change depending on
Yeah.
how the meeting goes.
Yeah.
But our first meeting is the second Wednesday in January, which I believe is the 8th. That's 4:30 to 6. And the schedule is posted in the lobby. I hesitate to put it up on Facebook since it's so fluid. I tend to think that people would think, well, you told me it was definitely going to be on this date, and I could put it up there, but I think it's going to generate more confusion by the way we go through it. So
We could put up that it's a budget meeting and not list the topics and that it's
yeah,
floating.
I could just post it generic there.
One of the things we should note is that the budget meetings are public meetings. The public is welcome to attend. They cannot participate, but they can observe and watch.
Right. So that's what I have there. It's coming along well. As usual, we'll still have to wait for the school and the county. It'll probably be a while before we see any
School,
from the
county,
refuse district.
ambulance will all be at the end of the
Right.
train, yeah.
Yeah, so, but anything that we control, we'll have that
Yeah.
done either this week or the beginning of next week.
I would urge the other selectmen too to go through their notes over the year, because over the year, we say, gee, we ought to include that in the budget, or we ought to think about that, and then we, at least I personally tend to forget about it when budget time comes, and so I want to go back over my notes, like
Yeah.
putting in money for the website.
Right. And if you do think of those things, the website I haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
But if you do think of those things, send me an email.
Yeah,
Because I
that's-
could
that's the
forget this
idea.
as well.
Still.
So, and we can still adjust it on the fly even during the meetings, so
Cool.
that's fine.
There was some suggestions about like a slush fund.
I hate that
We
term.
No, I know,
don't
I'm
use
sorry.
that, we don't
I'm
use
sorry
that
about
term.
that, but
All right,
no,
Jay,
but
get
I
out of
mean,
here.
out of here.
A selectman discretionary fund
Yeah, okay.
has been discussed, and
Yeah.
it was discussed last year, and the selectmen decided not to do it.
Not to do it.
We can talk about it again, certainly.
I know there's been some discussion.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can
I'm
look
sure,
at that.
I'm sure it'll come up when we discuss that budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the update on the budget process at the moment.
Very good. That's all we have under ongoing business. The only new business item we had was Bob Spillane's resignation. Under the MMA manual, once a selectman tenders a resignation, it is not actually official until the remaining public officials, and that's the remaining select board members, accept the resignation. I would suggest we defer that until the next meeting when we have all 4 remaining selectmen before we take that action. I don't think it has any practical impact one way or the other. But the other thing we will need to do is Bob was vice chair, and we'll need to elect a vice chair. The other thing we can decide is whether to hold a special election to replace that position, or whether to simply go forward with 4 select persons until May at our town meeting. That's my personal preference. I think we can. I don't think the expense of a special town meeting is warranted, but we should decide that officially.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I think the board works fine with 4 until May.
Yeah. So are you happily tabling that until we have all 4 members here?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
Just a question on that second part of the discussion.
Yes.
Is there any particular rule about, in the municipal officers or in the town ordinances about replacing a resigned select person?
It says exactly
What you just said.
What I said.
Yeah, okay.
It talks about resignation. Resignation is not official until accepted by the remaining town officials.
Yep.
And then the board has the option of calling a special election or deferring until the next regular election. And that's about all it says. It's a very short paragraph. I'll find it for you before we leave.
Okay, good, thanks.
Yeah.
Did you want to touch upon the December 23rd meeting?
Well, how does the board feel? There's been lobbying to not have that, the December 23rd meeting. And the only matter of import that I knew was coming along was Annalee's report to us, but Tom's telling me that she may welcome a 2-week delay as well.
Yeah, I think most people don't tend to like to meet during
Yeah.
Christmas week. Plus, I think given how many job descriptions she's working on, it might be prudent to put it off to the
Yeah.
first meeting in
I
January.
think we should.
We should,
Yeah.
not meet.
Not me.
I'm fine either way. I
Yeah.
expect to be here, so
Yeah.
whatever.
I'm fine either way. Why don't we let it go a week and see if anything crops up, and if nothing crops up, I mean, we don't have to decide tonight, correct?
No?
No.
And that'll let Denise weigh in as well.
Okay.
That's the only item I had on new business. That brings us to public forum. Any comments from the public? Going once, going twice? I just wanted to say, we touched upon it earlier, I thought Harbor Lights was a wonderful weekend. I thought the town looked very nice. I thought the decorations at Whale Park and the library and throughout the town were good. And my favorite is always the lighted boat parade. And those guys, to take the energy for the lobstermen and the volunteers to decorate their boats and go out in the freezing cold and run them around the harbor, I give them all the credit in the world. but I think it really helps, and it makes a very nice time.
I think also the Opera House was beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the Festival of Trees
Festival of
was
Trees
nice.
was nice.
Yeah, so I want to thank everyone involved with that, because I think it reflected very well on the town.
It looked busy, too.
It did.
There were a lot of people in town
It
those,
did.
both days.
It was very busy when you got behind the horse-drawn carriage.
I didn't see that.
It backed up quite a ways.
But the Festival of Trees was just beautiful.
It was, and there were some impressive donations made there, as
There was, too.
I looked on Sunday afternoon.
Bill, is it too late?
No?
Mike Talco, 59 Roads End. Talking about the Festival of Trees reminded me, I had quite a few conversations with the individuals from the garden club, and I'd asked, I was impressed as always by their efforts, and they were very grateful to do it. They say that the money that's raised goes to specific charities that they have in mind, their scholarships.
Scholarships for the most part.
Right, plus I was unaware that they take care of flower boxes in some municipal areas, example like over at the post office. And I asked I posed a question to several of them, what can we as a town do to support their efforts? You know, certainly, we can't be writing checks to groups, but what ways can we support? And what I heard several times mentioned was, one was acknowledgement that the service is being done, and the other is a statement coming from the harbor, from the selectmen, that they acknowledge the work, and that there's just an acknowledgement and appreciation. I'm not saying that it hasn't been done, but I think that would go a long ways, and something that could actually be formally printed and put on their website, or something that could be distributed to their members. I think it's a tremendous service. They've been doing it for the last 11 years.
Yeah.
That's my suggestion,
Yeah.
if it's
Well,
possible.
that's one of the reasons I brought up Harbor Lights in general, because I think there's a lot of people put in a lot of effort, and they should be recognized for the very good results that come to the Garden Club. Is certainly a major player there. Thank you.
Sure.
Public forum, going once, going twice. We do have a brief executive session under MRSA, Section 4056D, labor negotiations, and then we will reconvene and do the warrants and adjourn. We are out of executive session at 7:34. No decisions were made. The next article on the agenda is warrants. I would entertain a motion.
I move to sign the warrants tonight. Is that what you're supposed to do?
On review.
On review, thank you, Bill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the warrants on review. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? The next item is a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
It's been moved and
Second.
seconded to adjourn. There can be no discussion.
I love you.
All in favor? We are adjourned.
All in favor?